This could change everything for the Bulls, as Coby White and Josh Giddy have both been ranked in the top 30 for point guards in the NBA. We're going to be talking about the pluses of Coby White and Josh Giddy being ranked in the top 30, and we're also going to be talking about the unfortunate minuses of them being in the top 30 and really what this means for the Chicago Bulls moving forward as they continue to move into this youth development. So before we jump into it, I am your host, Rico Greenhowe, and this is another episode of Bulls Digest. And before we jump into that hot topic of the day, I just want to go ahead and put out a quick message for our sponsor of the video, NordVPN. Hopefully the Chicago Bulls can get a clearer plan and move the franchise forward. Unlike the Chicago Bulls, you can have a plan when it comes to protecting your devices from online threats. That's right. The best way to do this is with NordVPN, which you can get by clicking the link in the description to this video. With NordVPN Threat Protection Pro, you can block against fake websites, against phishing, and other fraud and other scams online. That's right. You can go ahead and protect your Wi-Fi from being compromised with a single click. You can encrypt and defend your virtual private network. Make sure that you go ahead and you improve your security and block pop-ups. And once again, you can go ahead and get this with nordvpn.com/bulls. This is an exclusive offer where you get 4 months of extra service along with Nord's risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. All right, and as we jump back into the hot topic of the day, we are talking about Coby White and Josh Giddy. This, you can find this pretty much everywhere, but this is the particular article that I went ahead and looked at, which is the NBA point guard ratings show continuing problems for the Chicago Bulls. That's right. So even though we're talking about something good, we're going to be breaking down why this could be potentially bad for the Chicago Bulls. But let's move into the first point that this article brings in, and that is that the Bulls are collecting good, not great players. And I think that that is absolutely true. When you look at Coby White and Josh Giddy, you see their respective ranking, it's going to be 21st and 22nd in this position. And so they do talk about the fact that, look, yes, you have two players that are very good and they're respectively ranked in the top 30. But at what point does the Chicago Bulls move into that elite, right? When do they get to players that potentially could be in the top 10 or maybe right outside of the top 10 of players in the NBA? And I'm talking about players like, the Joker. I'm talking about Embiid. I'm talking about the Greek Freak. I'm talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like those elite type of players. I'm not saying that they're going to be those players, but at some point, I think that Chicago has got to find a franchise player. And I think when you look at teams that have won the NBA title over the past couple seasons, generally they have a player that is either in that top 10 or they're right outside of that top 10. So I think at some point, if the Chicago Bulls want to get out of this current situation where they're always going to be in the play-in or kind of at the bottom of the Eastern Conference in that playoff race, and they want to eventually get into the elite and then start to be seriously taking things seriously for a title contention, then they're going to have to at some point get a franchise player, which I think that is the first point here. So I think that that's good that they're great players or they're getting up there, but at some point I think that they're going to have to make the jump, so to speak. All right. And so the next thing that they talk about here is, well, there is two different situations going on. One, you have Giddy, who is getting a chance to get the ball and really run a team. He's not going to be in SGA's shadow, so to speak. And then you have Coby White coming in. He gets a chance to be the number one option now that DeMar DeRozan is not here. All right, and so they're talking about the possibilities of both of these players eventually getting into the top 10. And I'll say this, I think that there is a strong possibility that they could get into the top 10 in their particular category. And I think it is a possibility that, maybe they could get maybe outside of that top 10 if you're ranking all the NBA players as well, because I think right now, as it stands, Coby White is ranked, I think, 63rd out of the top 100 players in the NBA, and this is via theringer.com if you want to check that out, where they rank, the top 100 players in the NBA, which is pretty good, right? And I think that when Coby White is put into a situation where he's going to be the number one option, I think that you are going to see a jump in productivity, and I think you're also going to see a jump in the ranking, especially if it's point guard or just overall. We're looking at the totality, like I said, of out of 100 players in the NBA. I think he is going to rise up that list. I absolutely think so, and I love the fact that both players are coming in with something to prove, right? I think that Josh Giddy wants to prove that he can run a team, and I think that Coby White also wants to prove that, it wasn't a fluke last year, that he was up there for the most improved player of the year award. I think that he's wanting to prove that he is for real, and I think he is too as well. And I love what he has done thus far in his career, and I think that he potentially has the best chance to make a realistic jump if we are looking at things, all right? And so lastly, they talk about the Chicago Bulls really searching for a lead guard similar to what they got with Derrick Rose, and they say that, Josh Giddy, he's got the potential to reach his ceiling. Obviously, he still has to prove himself, and they're saying that Coby White is a capable playmaker, but he's more of a score-first guard. All right, and so, I think that both of those points are correct. I think starting with Coby White, I get that they're saying that he is a score-first point guard, but I think his defense got considerably better last season, and I know he is not an elite defender, but the effort was all over the tape if you go and look back at what he did on a game-to-game basis. I couldn't get that out. But anyway, on a game-to-game basis, he has looked great on the defensive end, and I love what he's been able to do on the offensive end as well. I love the fact that he has given up the basketball, and he's been able to work off the basketball, which is going to be really good, I think, for Josh Giddy, a guy that he can now dominate the basketball. And so I think that if you're looking at a player that could get closer to a franchise type of player between Giddy and Coby White, I think it would be more so Coby White, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Josh Giddy is a triple-double threat, and I totally understand that. But when you look at the numbers and looking at what Coby White has done thus far, I mean, he's not too much far off of what Josh Giddy has done as far as rebounding. I think that rebounding, Josh Giddy is like at about 6 rebounds a game. But look at the complete package that you get from Coby White. Not only just the scoring, right, with the 19 points a game, but look at the fact that he's getting almost 5 rebounds a game and 5 assists a game. And we're talking about him possibly getting to a franchise type of player. Look, in comparison to a Derrick Rose or a Coby White, I absolutely think that, Coby White could be that guy that could go out there and get you 10 assists, right? Maybe he is going to be in those situations now in the clutch where he's going to have to make some plays like that. And I think because he's not just a scoring guard, he's willing to pass the ball. So I think his assist numbers are going to go up that way. And I think just the sheer fact that he's competing that much more on the defensive end, I can see him getting a couple more rebounds. And remember, Derrick Rose was not a triple-double threat, okay? So that's one of the things that I think is going good here for Coby White and him potentially being a franchise player. Josh Giddy, he's still got to shoot the ball. I think that that's the one thing that really, really scares me at this point in time. I mean, he's got to show that he can be very good off the ball as far as shooting the basketball, and we're hoping that he takes that leap in the Olympics. I know we're seeing him play well, but I'm still not seeing any kind of elite shooting. I know, it is going to be a little bit of a project, but he can show a bit of improvement. It may take him a little bit longer to be considered a franchise player. I get that, but I think he has a little bit more to go than Coby White. And that leads us to, I think, the last part of the video and why this might be an interesting situation for the Chicago Bulls. It's because of the contracts, okay? Because when they talked about the Chicago Bulls having some good players and not great players, you don't want to set yourself up in the same situation that you did with, say, a Zach LaVine. All right. And so what do I mean by that? All right. They went out and they paid Zach LaVine as if he could be a franchise player. Unfortunately, the Chicago Bulls really bet on that and they lost. All right. I think at this point in time, it's fair to say that Zach LaVine at best is probably like the third or fourth best option on a team. Now, unfortunately, we built around Zach LaVine as if he were a franchise player. And well, you see what the results are. So you don't want to get into that same situation with Coby White and Josh Giddy, who are going to be very good players, but never going to be really elite players or a franchise type of players, right? That you can go ahead and, you pretty much can toss them the keys. They can go out there and win a ton of games for you down the stretch, and you can absolutely build off of them, all right? And so right now they're on some contract, or they're on a friendly contract for the team, I should say, but they're going to have to make a decision pretty quickly because Josh Giddy is going to run into a restricted free agency next season. And then I think Coby White is right around about $11 million right now per year, which is really, really team friendly. So, the Chicago Bulls are going to have to make a decision because they don't want to end up in the same position that they're in right now with a guy like Zach LaVine, where they're overpaying for players that are not franchise type of players. And so let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Do you think that, like I'm thinking, that Coby White is probably going to be the player that could be closer to becoming a franchise player? Do you think it is Josh Giddy who is closer to being a franchise player? Are you worried about the fact that, look, the Chicago Bulls are going to have to make a decision on these players, and if we're building around them, they are going to have to take another elite step forward. Do you agree with that? And so let me know what you're thinking in the comments. And before we jump out of here, I just want to say that 73.4% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. So make sure you continue to mash that subscribe button, as it means the world to us as we try to get to 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season starts. And so I just want to thank you guys out there for going ahead and mashing that like button and hitting that subscribe button. And even though we are talking about point guard ratings in the offseason, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace, peace, peace.